Let's find out. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioner Hall, is it possible, you hear a lot of discussion in this town as to what life would have been like with or without whatever it is that we do in this particular circumstance, it's with or without the stimulus. Is it possible to estimate what the unemployment rate would have been without the stimulus program?
Yeah, that's generally what we do is sort of reality based. So what we're doing is we're trying to give you our best picture of where the economy is. Our surveys really aren't designed to sort of get reasons for things from people when we send out a survey, especially our establishment survey. So there's really no way for us to collect data on what would have been without the stimulus or without anything really.
The CBO recently put out a report that said that the unemployment rate would have been between 0.3 points to 1.1 point higher than it otherwise would have been. Are you familiar with that report at all or not?
A little bit, yes.
And how are you familiar with it, sir?
I have some notion of the sort of methodology that they've used and sort of how they're arriving at that number.
Do you think it's fairly sound, being familiar with their methodology?
Yeah, it's certainly sound in the sense that it's using common methodology that economists use. And you know what they're essentially doing is they're taking estimates of the impact things have had in the past, government spending has had in the past, and sort of applying it to the current situation, doing it that way. The difficulty of that, of course, is that it is sort of a model estimate, and it really is very much based on assumptions and views about how the economy works. So while the methodology is fairly standard and etc., again, it's not really giving you data. It's not really giving you anything like what we give you with the employment numbers.
Gotcha. Is it if you take their numbers, we're at 9.1% this morning. Is that what we are?
Yes.
Then someplace, according to them, it'd be between 9.4 and 10.2. That's their range of 0.3% to 1.1%. Are there any set of circumstances, any set of reasonable assumptions that anybody could come out and say that the unemployment rate today would be 15% but for the stimulus program? Is there any way in any reasonable analysis you could get to that number?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to try to characterize that. It is making assumptions that the economy was going to get a lot worse than it did get, and a lot worse than anybody was forecasting. So in that sense, it's a stretch.
Have you seen any scientific or educational, intellectual studies that have justified a claim that the unemployment rate would be 15% today, but for the stimulus program?
Yeah, it's just the sort of work that can be done is pretty similar to what the CBO did, and that's with a model and with some assumptions about what they believe would be the typical effect of government spending. You get an answer that way.
Have you seen any reputable studies that would lead you to believe, or that would show that the unemployment rate today would be 15% but for the stimulus program?
No, but I haven't looked, and I'm not sure I would call if the CBO was the CBO estimating that.
No, that's actually Mrs. Pelosi's office this morning.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I haven't looked at that study. I haven't looked at other studies.
Do you think there is a study that
I really have no idea.
So you've never heard of any study that would say that unemployment would be 15%?
No, but we're pretty focused on the real data, so I'm not looking.
I'm focused on the real data as well. I just sort of wondered if this had anything to do with real data, and it sounds like it doesn't. I'll yield back the rest of my time and hope we get a second round of questions on some other topics. Thank you.